My name is Belinda Wasser, also known as RocketGirl, and today we're going to talk about how to handle free 30-minute consultations. When you're a virtual assistant, one of the best ways to get clients that are the most aligned with you and the services that you want to offer is to have a free 30-minute consultation. Sometimes people call them discovery calls, so you might have heard of it as a discovery call. So I want to talk about some important things to remember when you're having these discovery calls. So even before it happens, you want to make sure that they're easy to schedule. Now, what happens during these calls, I'm going to talk about in a minute, but that's the exact way that I get hired. Someone hears about me, or I meet them somewhere and I say, hey, let's talk about, how we might work together. I'll send you a link to my calendar. So in addition to having it happen that way, you want to have it accessible and you want to have it automated. And what I mean by that is you want to use a service like Calendly, Acuity, Schedule Once, Time Trade, something like that, so that it's self-service. I have a link at the bottom of my email signature. I have one on the footer of every single page in my website. I also have it in my email newsletter that goes out regularly and on my contact page. So make sure it's easy to get on your calendar. When you are setting up the scheduling software, you want to make sure that you can ask some questions during the process. I ask 4 questions. One is, who referred you? This is so important because I have found the expression birds of a feather flock together to be absolutely true. My best clients who refer clients to me, the new clients are a dream. On the other hand, the clients that are not as easy to work with typically bring clients to me as referrals that are not as easy to work with. So make sure that you're paying attention to that. Also, I ask them, do they have a website? And I ask them what the URL is, because I want to be able to, check them out just a little bit. And we'll talk about that more in a minute. But I'm wondering where are they in the process? Are they a brand new business? Have they been in business for a while? Because that also has to do probably with how much I can help them. The last question I asked is, what would you like to talk about? Very straightforward, simple question. But that also gives me a hint if I like to do that kind of work, even if I know how to do that kind of work, and if we're aligned in that way. All right, so ask some questions beforehand. Now, you don't want to spend a whole lot of time researching, before the meeting. Keep in mind, this is not a job interview. This is nothing like a job interview. This is a conversation. Now, you do need to be prepared, and I'll go into how to do that in a minute, but I don't spend really any time other than a couple of minutes on their website. If there's a picture, I like to see, what they look like, put a face to a name, see what industry they're in, if I have any experience, but beyond really 5 minutes, that's pretty much it. And so let's talk about how you want to listen during the call. Now, think about this as kind of like a first date, all right? So if the person comes to the call and you're able to understand them, they're not interrupting you, you understand what they're talking about, those are good signs of a good fit. However, if those things are not happening, I had a discovery call once with someone who wouldn't stop talking. I couldn't get a word in, and I thought, this is not a good fit for me because that's not compatible with my style. And that's what we're really trying to figure out, what their style is and what kind of work they need. And so questions about that are really important. Now, you do need to be prepared to talk about your services and your pricing, and it needs to be nailed down. The last thing you want to do is so here's this person, they're interested. If you're like me, your prices are on your website, so they may already know how much you charge. And you just need to be able to talk clearly and concisely about your services. So I want you to practice talking about that out loud. Now, when I first started and I was told I had to practice out loud and I knew that, I felt really silly. So I would either lock myself in a room where no one could hear me, do it in the shower, or the other thing is I used to put my earbuds in my ear and I'd go for a walk and I would be talking and it would look like I was on the phone, but actually I was practicing talking about my pricing and my services so I could get really good at it in that moment. The last thing I'm going to talk about before I talk about the most important things is you need a clear next step. So if someone says, great, I'd love to work with you, and you say, awesome, I think we're a good fit, you want to have a clear next step. Like, I'll send you a link so you can, buy time on my website, or I'll send you a link so we can schedule a meeting, or would you like to schedule a meeting right now? Whatever the next step is that you've decided ahead of time, be ready with that. Now, the last two things are super duper important, okay? So they have their own slide. The first one is you are the decision maker, all right? You are not trying to twist yourself around to try to get hired. What I really want you to do is decide, is this a good fit? Now, in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I've had 3 of these discovery calls. 2 of them were not a good fit and they went away. And thank goodness, because I didn't have to have a bad relationship, and I'm not going to have to fire them. I'm not going to have to do any of that. The third one was like a dream fit, like Cinderella slipper. And I put it on and we are off to the races. So it's really about making sure you get the right people, because this is who you're going to be spending your time with. This is going to impact your mood and, your life. So be careful in these 30-minute consultations that you only let people hire you who you want to work with. In fact, I use a phrase a lot. I'll say in my 30-minute consultations, they'll say, can you do, X, Y, and Z? And I'll say, I can. And if we decide to work together, I would be happy to help you with that. So it's really creating the idea that I'm a business owner, and that we are deciding and I'm not auditioning. Okay, so keep that in mind. Not finding out it's not a good fit is a good thing. All right. The last thing, this is really scary. It's not easy to do at first. I probably would spend in the beginning an hour and a half or an hour getting ready for the call because I was so nervous. I was afraid that they were going to ask me something that I didn't know the answer to. And then what was I going to do? I would freeze. So I just want you to remember, it's a conversation to see if you're a good fit. You can prepare your part and then you can just ask questions. How do you see yourself working with a virtual assistant? What kinds of things are you struggling with? Sometimes I'll say, where are mistakes happening, or what are you tolerating that I can fix for you? So questions like that. All right, but be gentle with yourself. And just please remember, everyone is not a good fit. Thank goodness, right? How many clients can we take? Maybe more than you have now, but this is a good step to getting them and getting the right ones. So before we leave, I just want to make sure, because we are live streaming right now on different places in Facebook and on Periscope and on our YouTube channel, click subscribe if you're right there. I want to let you know about my free online classroom. It's called the Virtual Assistant Connection, and you can find us on Facebook. Just type the Virtual Assistant Connection in the search bar at the top and click the join button. Over there, you'll find a community of almost 11,000 people who are either starting out as a VA, thinking about becoming a VA, or have been a VA for a long time, like me. There's tons of free resources, videos, articles, help, community, and friendship. So please join me over there. I'd love to have you. In the meantime, this is Belinda Wasser, Rocket Girl, signing off. Until next time. Bye-bye.